As they left the chamber, Elena looked back at her team, knowing that together they could face any challenge that lay ahead. After the intense battle simulation, Captain Elena and her team felt a surge of hope and excitement. They had shown the Galactic Council their strength, teamwork, and determination. Now, as they gathered in the main council chamber, they were ready to discuss their future as allies. The chamber was filled with council members, their expressions a mix of admiration and seriousness. The council leader stood at the front, looking down at the humans with a newfound respect. "You have impressed us today," he said, his voice resonating throughout the room. "You fought bravely and showed great skill. We believe you are ready to become part of our alliance." Captain Elena felt a rush of joy, but kept her composure. "Thank you, Council Leader. We are ready to help in any way we can," she replied. "We want to protect our galaxy together." The Council Leader nodded. "Then let us make this official. We need to create a new agreement, a pact that binds our people together against any threat that comes our way." Elena's heart raced with excitement. This was the moment they had fought for. "What do you need from us?" she asked, eager to understand the terms of their new alliance. The council leader paused for a moment, gathering his thoughts. "We need your technology, your tactics, and your resolve. In return, we will offer you resources, training, and access to our advanced weaponry. Together, we will build a stronger defense against the enemies that threaten our peace." As he spoke, other council members began to chime in, adding their thoughts and suggestions. "We should conduct joint training exercises," one said. "It will help both our forces learn from each other." "Agreed," another member responded. "We can also share intelligence to understand our enemies better. Knowledge is key in this fight." Captain Elena listened carefully, nodding along with their ideas. "That sounds excellent. We will bring our best strategies, and we will work hard to learn from you as well. This partnership will make us all stronger." After much discussion, they began to draft the terms of the agreement. Council scribes recorded every detail, ensuring that both sides understood their responsibilities. The room buzzed with energy as everyone contributed, creating a sense of unity that had been absent before. Once the terms were agreed upon, the council leader stood once more. "Let us now sign this pact. This will mark the beginning of a new alliance." Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding with pride. She knew this was not just a piece of paper, it was a promise of friendship and support. As she signed her name, she could feel the weight of history behind her, a new chapter for both humanity and the Galactic Council. One by one, the council members signed the agreement, their eyes bright with hope. They were no longer just a council. They were now allies, bound together by a common goal. As the last signature was added, applause filled the chamber. Elena and her team exchanged smiles, feeling a sense of belonging that had once seemed impossible. They were not alone anymore. They had a powerful alliance by their side. After the ceremony, the council leader approached Captain Elena. "You have earned our respect and trust, Captain. We are excited to see what we can accomplish together." Elena beamed with pride. "Thank you. I promise we will not let you down. Together we will face whatever comes our way." As the celebrations continued, Elena felt a deep sense of responsibility. The battles ahead would be tough, but now they had each other. She turned to her team, each one looking determined and ready for the challenges ahead. "We have a lot of work to do," she said, gathering everyone's attention. "We need to prepare our soldiers, learn from one another, and ensure we are ready for the enemy. Together we will build a powerful force." Her team nodded, feeling energized. They had been given a second chance, and they would not waste it. As the day turned to night, Elena looked around at the council members and her team. The stars shone brightly above them, a symbol of the unity they had forged. The galaxy was vast and filled with danger, but together they would face it all. In that moment, she realized that this was only the beginning. With their new agreement, they would stand as one, a united force ready to protect their homes and each other. As the cheers of celebration echoed in the chamber, Captain Elena felt hopeful about the future. They would fight not just for themselves, but for a galaxy that needed heroes. And now they were not just humans. They were part of something much larger. They were allies, and together they would face whatever came their way. The sky was dark as the alien ships hovered over Earth. General Zarek stood at the window of his command ship, looking down at the planet below. He was a tall figure with green skin and fierce eyes. He believed this mission would be easy. Humans, in his mind, were weak and disorganized. Zarak thought they would crush the human soldiers without breaking a sweat. The alien fleet descended, landing near a small town. The townspeople had no idea what was coming. As the ships landed, the ground shook and dust filled the air. Zarak smiled, imagining the fear in the hearts of the humans. He ordered his troops to prepare for battle. "We will show them the strength of the Galactic Empire," he shouted, his voice booming with confidence. Meanwhile, in the town, the local military base was buzzing with activity. Commander Jake, a brave human with short brown hair and sharp eyes, sensed something was wrong. He gathered his troops and explained the situation. "We have to be ready. An alien army is landing and they think we are weak," he said, his voice steady and full of determination. The soldiers listened closely. They were scared, but Jake's words gave them hope. "We are not just fighting for ourselves, we are fighting for our families, our friends, and our home. We must show them that humans will never back down." As the aliens marched towards the town, Zarak led the charge. His soldiers were armed with advanced weapons that glowed in the dark. They were sure of their victory. Zarak raised his hand, signaling his troops to attack. Suddenly, the humans sprang into action. They had set up traps and hidden positions in the trees and buildings. As the aliens advanced, the humans launched their surprise attack. Explosions echoed through the streets as grenades went off. The aliens were caught off guard. Zarak's soldiers stumbled, confused and afraid. "What is happening?" Zarak shouted, anger rising in his chest. He had never expected humans to fight back like this. The human soldiers fought with courage, using their knowledge of the land to their advantage. They fired from behind cover, making it hard for the aliens to retaliate. As the battle raged on, Zarak's confidence began to fade. He watched as more of his troops fell, unable to understand how humans could be so resilient. Each time an alien soldier fell, it shook his belief in their superiority. "Push forward!" Zarak commanded, but his voice was losing its power. The humans fought fiercely, their determination shining like a beacon. They worked as a team, covering each other and moving swiftly between the buildings. General Zarak felt a knot in his stomach as he saw the chaos around him. The humans were not just fighting, they were fighting smart. They used every trick they could think of to outsmart the aliens. The air filled with the sounds of gunfire explosions and the cries of wounded soldiers. It was a scene of chaos. As the sun began to set, the tide of the battle turned. The humans pushed back with a fierce energy, forcing the aliens to retreat. Zarak realized they were losing ground. He ordered a strategic withdrawal, not wanting to lose more soldiers. "Fall back! We will regroup and attack again!" he yelled, trying to maintain his authority. The alien soldiers ran back to their ships, panic in their eyes. The humans cheered, knowing they had won this round. Zarak stared at the retreating humans, his mind racing. He had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, but he was leaving with a bitter taste of defeat. As Zarak's ship lifted off the ground, he looked down at the town. The humans were celebrating, but he felt only anger and confusion. How could this happen? They were supposed to be weak. This was just the beginning, he thought. Zarak knew he would not give up easily. The humans had surprised him today, but he would find a way to crush them. As the alien fleet soared into the sky, Zarak made a vow. He would return, and next time he would not underestimate his enemy. General Zarak stood at the command center of his ship, staring at the holographic map of Earth. Red dots showed the locations of his troops, and many were blinking, indicating heavy losses. He clenched his fists in anger. The humans had surprised him in the last battle, and he could not understand how they had fought so fiercely. "Gather the commanders!" he barked, his voice echoing in the room. Within moments, his officers assembled around him. They were anxious and uncertain, their faces showing the fear of defeat. Zarak paced in front of them, trying to mask his frustration. "We underestimated the humans," he began, his voice steady but filled with fury. "They are not the weak creatures we thought. They are clever and resilient. We must change our strategy." One of his officers, Commander Vex, stepped forward. "But, General, they are still outnumbered. We have superior technology. If we hit them hard and fast, we can crush them." Zarak nodded, but doubt lingered in his mind. "We will attack again, but we must be smarter. We cannot rush in blindly. We need to use our technology to our advantage. I want drones deployed for reconnaissance. We need to know their positions and strategies before we strike." The officers nodded, and the room buzzed with renewed energy. As they planned, Zarek felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps they could still turn the tide. But he knew he had to be careful. The humans had proven they could adapt quickly. Meanwhile, in the human camp, Commander Jake was busy preparing his soldiers for the next battle. The mood was high after their victory, but he knew the aliens would not give up easily. He gathered his troops, their faces lit with determination. "We showed them that we can fight," Jake began, his voice strong. "But we cannot become overconfident. The aliens will come back, and we need to be ready. We have to learn from our victory and improve our strategies." The soldiers listened closely, their eyes filled with determination. They knew the next battle would be tough. Jake had a plan. "We will set up traps around the perimeter and use our knowledge of the land to our advantage. We will not fight them head-on, but instead use guerrilla tactics. We will be swift and smart." As the soldiers trained, they worked together, practicing their movements and communication. Jake emphasized teamwork, knowing it would be crucial in the upcoming fight. The humans were not just fighting for themselves, they were fighting for their homes, families, and each other. Days passed as both sides prepared for the next clash. Zarek oversaw the assembly of new weapons, drones, and advanced technology. He had ordered heavy artillery to be brought in, determined to gain an upper hand. The alien troops were anxious, aware of the previous defeat. Zarek walked among them, trying to inspire confidence. "Do not fear the humans!" he shouted. "They may have won the last battle, but they will not win the next. We have the strength of the Galactic Empire behind us." As the sun set, Zarek gazed out of his ship at the horizon. He thought about the humans and their bravery. The memories of the last battle haunted him. He could not let them win again. He could not return home in shame. Back at the human camp, Jake and his team were making final preparations. They discussed their roles and assigned positions around the perimeter. They knew the aliens would come with full force, but they were ready to stand strong. "Remember," Jake said, "we fight together. We are stronger as one. Stay focused and watch each other's backs." As the night grew dark, the humans settled in, eyes alert and ready. They could feel the tension in the air. They knew that the next battle could change everything. Would they stand strong against the alien force, or would they fall under the weight of Zarek's new plan? In the depths of space, Zarek made his final preparations. He looked at the map of Earth one last time. This time he would not fail. The next fight would be different. He would show the humans the true power of the Galactic Empire. As dawn broke, both sides stood ready for the clash that would determine their fates. The battlefield awaited, and neither side would back down. The sun rose over the battlefield, casting long shadows across the ground. General Zarek stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the landscape below. His heart raced with anticipation. Today would be different. Today, he would show the humans the power of the Galactic Empire. Zarek turned to his officers. "Prepare for the attack! We will strike hard and fast. Use the drones for air support. I want them to see our might!" The officers saluted, and the room filled with energy as they moved quickly to follow his orders. The sound of machinery whirred to life, and the atmosphere was charged with determination. Zarek felt a wave of confidence wash over him. The humans had caught him off guard last time, but he would not let that happen again. Meanwhile, Commander Jake gathered his troops at the human camp. The atmosphere was tense but filled with resolve. He could sense that the aliens would come back with a vengeance. Jake looked at his soldiers, their faces serious but ready for battle. "Today we face them again," Jake said, raising his voice to inspire confidence. "We have fought bravely before, and we will do so again. Remember our strategy. Stay hidden, use the land to our advantage, and strike when they least expect it." The soldiers nodded, their hearts pounding with excitement and fear. They positioned themselves around the perimeter of their camp, using the trees and buildings as cover. They knew that the aliens would come with their advanced weapons, but they were ready to face whatever was thrown at them. As the alien ships soared into the sky, the humans held their breath. Zarek's fleet approached, a dark cloud against the bright sky. The drones flew ahead, scanning the area for signs of human activity. Zarek grinned, imagining how easily they would crush the humans this time. "Look!" one of Zarek's officers shouted, pointing to the screens. "There are signs of human movement! Deploy the troops!" Zarek ordered, his voice steady. The alien soldiers prepared to disembark, weapons ready. They landed with a loud thud, their boots hitting the ground. The humans watched from their hiding spots, holding their breath. As the aliens moved forward, Jake signaled his troops to remain quiet. They would wait for the right moment to strike. Suddenly, the aliens began to fire at random spots, thinking they would scare the humans out of hiding. But the humans remained silent and still. Jake knew that patience was key. Then, just as Zarek thought he had control, the humans launched their surprise attack. Explosions rang out as grenades flew through the air. The aliens were caught off guard, and chaos erupted in their ranks. "Fall back!" Zarek shouted, trying to regain control. But it was too late. The humans charged from their hiding places, fighting fiercely. They moved quickly, working together like a well-oiled machine. The battle raged on, with explosions shaking the ground. Humans darted between trees and buildings, firing their weapons at the aliens. Zarek could not believe what he was seeing. The humans were not backing down. They were fighting harder than ever. "We need air support!" Zarek yelled into his communicator. Drones flew in, firing down at the humans. The tide of the battle seemed to shift momentarily as the drones unleashed their firepower. But the humans were quick on their feet, using the landscape to avoid the worst of it. Jake shouted orders, directing his soldiers. "Move to the left! Take cover behind those trees!" The humans worked together, weaving through the chaos. Zarek realized that this was not just a fight, it was a battle of wits. As the dust settled, Zarek's soldiers began to falter. They were losing ground and their morale was sinking. Zarek felt a surge of panic. He had promised victory, but now it seemed like a distant dream. In a desperate move, Zarek called for an all-out assault. "Push forward! We will not lose to these creatures!" But his voice lacked the strength it once had. The aliens pressed on, but the humans stood firm, refusing to be pushed back. Finally, after hours of fierce fighting, the humans emerged victorious once again. The alien forces were scattered, retreating to their ships. Zarek stood in disbelief, watching his once mighty army crumble before him. As the alien ships lifted off the ground, Zarek realized he needed to rethink everything. The humans were not just tough. They were a force to be reckoned with. He vowed that this was not over. He would find a way to defeat them and reclaim his honor. The battlefield fell silent as the humans cheered, their victory echoing in the air. Jake looked around at his brave soldiers, feeling a swell of pride. They had fought together and they had won, but he knew the fight was far from over. The aliens would return, and they had to be ready. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the battlefield. General Zarek stood on the bridge of his command ship, staring at the holographic map of Earth. After 2 defeats, his frustration grew. The humans were not just brave, they were smart and unpredictable. He knew he had to change his approach. "Gather the officers!" Zarek ordered, his voice firm. The officers quickly assembled, their faces showing worry and doubt. Zarek took a deep breath, trying to mask his own uncertainty. "We have underestimated the humans," he began. "They have fought well and won twice. We need to adapt. We will not attack head-on this time. Instead, we will use deception and strategy." Commander Vex stepped forward, concern etched on his face. "But General, our forces are dwindling. If we do not act quickly, we may lose everything." Zarek nodded. "I know, but rushing in will only lead to more losses. We need to gather intelligence on their defenses. I want scouts sent out to monitor their movements. We must know where they are weak before we strike again." The officers nodded, understanding the plan. As they dispersed to prepare, Zarek felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this time they could turn the tide. Meanwhile, at the human camp, Commander Jake was also deep in thought. After their second victory, the atmosphere was filled with confidence, but Jake knew that overconfidence could lead to disaster. He gathered his troops, their faces eager and ready for the next challenge. "Listen up!" Jake called out, drawing their attention. "We have beaten the aliens twice, but they will come back stronger. We must not let our guard down. We need to improve our defenses and gather intelligence on their movements." The soldiers listened intently, their eyes focused on their leader. "I want teams to scout the alien camp and report back. We need to know their plans and prepare for anything." As the soldiers dispersed to carry out their tasks, Jake felt a sense of pride. They had become a united force, working together for a common goal. The humans were learning and adapting, just like their alien foes. Days passed, and both sides began their preparations. Zarek's scouts gathered information about human defenses, while Jake's teams observed alien movements from a distance. Tension hung in the air as both leaders prepared for the inevitable clash. One evening, as the sun set, Jake gathered his officers around a small fire. "Tonight, we'll plan our next move," he said. his voice steady. "We know the aliens will come for us, and we must be ready." Suddenly, one of the scouts rushed into the camp, panting and wide-eyed. "Commander! The aliens are regrouping. They plan to attack us from the north at dawn." Jake's heart raced. "We need to prepare a defensive line there. Make sure everyone knows their positions. We will not let them catch us off guard." As the soldiers moved quickly to prepare, Zarak's forces were also on the move. He had learned about the humans' defensive strategies and planned to use it against them. "Prepare for the attack!" Zarak shouted, rallying his troops. "This time we will not fail." Dawn broke, and the battlefield was filled with a thick fog, creating an eerie silence. The humans took their positions, hearts pounding in anticipation. They knew this would be a pivotal moment in the fight for their home. As the sun rose higher, the first alien ships appeared on the horizon. Zarak watched from his command ship, feeling a surge of confidence. This time they had the advantage. He ordered his troops to advance. The battle began with the sound of blaster fire and explosions. Humans and aliens clashed, fighting fiercely for dominance. Jake moved through the chaos, directing his soldiers to hold their ground. They fought with everything they had, knowing that their freedom depended on it. But as the battle raged on, Zarak noticed something unexpected. The humans were using tactics he had not anticipated. They were flanking his forces, creating confusion among the alien ranks. The tide began to turn. "Fall back!" Zarak shouted, realizing they were losing control. But the humans pressed on, their determination unyielding. Jake saw the shift in momentum and rallied his troops to push harder. With a final surge, the humans broke through the alien lines, forcing Zarak's soldiers to retreat. As the dust settled, Jake stood among his troops, feeling a mix of pride and disbelief. They had turned the tide once again. Zarak, watching from afar, knew he had to rethink everything. The humans were no longer just a nuisance. They were a true threat. He felt the weight of defeat heavy on his shoulders. The battle was not over, but it was clear that the fight for Earth was only just beginning. The air was thick with tension as the final battle approached. Both the human and alien forces gathered on the battlefield, preparing for what would be the most intense fight yet. General Zarak stood on the command ship, his heart racing. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. He would reclaim his honor or be defeated for good. Zarak addressed his officers, his voice echoing in the dimly lit room. "Today we will show the humans our true strength. We will not fail this time. Prepare the troops for an all-out assault." The officers nodded, their faces determined. Zarak could see the fire in their eyes, but he also sensed fear. They had lost too many battles and morale was low. He needed to inspire them. "Remember why we fight. We fight for our empire, for our future. Together we will crush the humans once and for all." Meanwhile, Commander Jake stood with his soldiers at the human camp. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. They had fought hard, and the thought of winning this battle filled them with hope. Jake gathered his troops, looking each one in the eye. "This is our last chance," Jake said, his voice steady. "We have beaten them before, and we can do it again. We fight for our home, our families, and our freedom. Let's show the aliens that we are not afraid." The soldiers cheered, their spirits lifted. They quickly organized themselves, preparing their weapons and checking their gear. Everyone knew that today's fight would be unlike any they had faced before. As the sun rose, illuminating the battlefield, both sides positioned themselves for the clash. Zarak ordered his ships to move forward, a dark wave against the bright sky. The humans braced themselves, ready to defend their ground. With a thunderous roar, the battle began. Blaster fire lit up the sky as aliens and humans clashed in a storm of chaos. Zarak led his troops into battle, determined to reclaim his honor. But as the fight intensified, he noticed something strange. The humans were more organized than ever. They fought as one, moving together in perfect harmony. Jake watched as his soldiers held their ground, pushing back the alien forces. "Stay focused! Keep your formation!" he shouted, directing his troops. They were working together seamlessly, using every advantage they had. As the battle raged on, Zarak felt a wave of frustration. The humans were proving to be a greater challenge than he had anticipated. "Deploy the drones," he commanded. The air filled with the whir of machines as drones flew overhead, unleashing blasts of energy onto the battlefield. Jake saw the drones and quickly shouted to his troops, "Take cover! Move to the trees!" The humans scattered, finding shelter wherever they could. The sound of explosions echoed in their ears. but they didn't lose hope. Suddenly, Zarek saw an opportunity. He signaled to his troops to push forward while the humans were distracted. But just as he thought they would break through, Jake rallied his soldiers. "Now! Strike back!" Jake yelled. The humans emerged from their hiding spots, launching a surprise counterattack. They fought with everything they had, their determination fueling their strength. Zarek felt panic rise within him. He had underestimated the humans again. They were not just fighting for victory, they were fighting for their very existence. The aliens began to falter, struggling against the relentless assault. As the tide of battle shifted, Zarek realized he needed to take drastic action. He called for a retreat, knowing that continuing the fight would only lead to more losses. "Fall back! We regroup!" he shouted, his voice filled with urgency. But it was too late. The humans pressed on, their resolve unbroken. Jake saw the aliens retreating and felt a surge of triumph. "We can win this! Push forward," he encouraged his troops. The humans charged, their cheers filling the air as they pressed against the alien lines. Zarek's forces scattered, desperately trying to escape. It was a complete rout. Finally, the last of the alien ships lifted off, leaving behind a battlefield strewn with the remnants of their failed assault. Jake stood among his soldiers, their faces lit with joy and disbelief. They had done it. They had won. As Zarek's ship fled the planet, he vowed to return. The humans had defeated him today, but he would not forget their strength. He would regroup and come back stronger. The war was not over. Jake looked out over the battlefield, filled with pride for his soldiers. They had fought bravely and defended their home. Today was a turning point, a victory they would remember. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were not just survivors. They were fighters, ready to stand up against any threat. The battle was won, but the fight for freedom would continue. Together, they had proven that they could face any challenge, united in their resolve.